First, we visit Fukushima
Last year.
2 days ago, and it's a very strange feeling.
Same thing. Yeah.
Strange because when you drive past this town, city, and most of the thing you hardly see anybody. The city is partly abandoned, and it's like a phantom city. That's a very strange feeling. It's almost, it sort of shows us what it would be if not only nuclear accident, but maybe nuclear war would be more scary, but it gives you an impression what's nuclear really is about. When you see this city empty, and when you hear that it is contaminated, and you cannot see anybody, you cannot see contamination either, it makes it worse, like people are scared, and there is fears, and it's very strange feeling that you get from it. And also meeting the people, the farmers and other people, talking about how they've been working hard for many, many years, and then today, now, most of them could not farm anymore. So that's dramatic for a farmer not to be able to do his job anymore. And I also saw some brochure on Fukushima. It seems to me that Fukushima used to be quite alive. That there is a festival of Fukushima, there is a beach all around. And today the situation is that, as we've been explained, people have to stay inside. Some of the people that stay in some area, they cannot go much outside. And the children, they have to occupy the children. And of course, that's what the eyes can see. But worse than that, the real problem is the fears of the people about health problems, especially the women and the children. And it's very tragic. It is a tragedy. I think that Fukushima is a picture that is there for us to look and to learn from it. And because if we don't learn, we already had some accident before. If we don't learn, it could be a second Fukushima. It could be a third Fukushima. And maybe it could be worse. And I think this is a good time for us to think, for us to influence our government, different government, to stop these nuclear power plants. So Fukushima is the center where everything could happen for the future to stop all nuclear power plants all over the world. The task is not easy, but it has to be done. Governments, of what I can hear, most of them are still supporting, the power plants for energy. And one of the very big shock for me is when I learned a few years back, I think it was in 2008 or 2006, that Japan had more than 50 power plants. I mean, I was shocked when I heard that. How can a country that had been bombed, that know about the experience of victims of hibakusha, about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. How can a country like that accept to have nuclear around him? I mean, to me that's a bit crazy. And how can a country that is very, how do you call it, where there is quite a bit of earthquake happening here, how can they possibly think of having more than 50 power plants? I know that a few years back we all saw the picture of the earthquake in Kobe. Oh, I don't know how many years. We were shocked when we saw this picture. But today, well, last year it was Fukushima. But that can happen again because earthquake is quite common here in Japan. I mean, that's crazy. I think it is very urgent for Japan to close down the power plants. But to close down power plant, as I say, Japan have to think about replacing it by other energy safer, solar energy, wind or whatever, energy that can come also from the ocean, from the current. Have to think of that. Secondly, I think it's also very important for the Western world now to think about reducing the energy use, because we cannot carry on using energy like that, because the use of energy like that also created problem for other people in the world, like the sea level going up. That will be a tragedy also for people that live in the atoll, Marshall or whatever. So the third thing about Fukushima is that the problem of Fukushima had was all the water had been used to cool down the reactor and going into the ocean. I mean, Japanese people eat a lot of fish. Us people, Polynesian people, we live on fish. We eat fish. And the consequences on the food chain is also very tragic. I mean, Fukushima should be a lesson, because otherwise maybe we are already creating future victims. With the, of course, there are people that have died during the tsunami, but contamination for a lot of people take years to come up. Health problems take years. So we have to think about all these consequences. I think that we really have to think of all the way we can to influence our government, to change the strategy, to change power, replace power plant. We have to maybe, we have the experience of today, the conference of today, but more than that, we have to think of more action. More action like force the government to listen to the citizen. And, but first of all, the citizens should be convinced that they have to change. If they're not convinced that they have to change, that the power plant is a danger, well, then government will carry on. So the first change have to come from us, from the people, from the grassroots people. And only if we change, then we may be able to change the government. Well, that's what I mean. I mean, what's happening now in Fukushima is what we've been living for 40 years. 40 years, we're still struggling. So I support very much the victim of Fukushima, because I know that they have a long way to go. We had a long way to go, and we're still not arrived yet. because of all this policy of government, of superpower, and all the lobbying, money, lobbying, and we also have to talk about corruption, because there are money coming out of that, and that's also for government it's important to have money, you know, and also the other aspect when they call about the economic, you know, progress. And it's all based on energy. So that's why we really have to reprogram ourselves. And when I talk about corruption, then the Fukushima victim, not only Fukushima, all over the world, have a lot of problems because government hide all the data, government, in the case in Polynesia, manipulate also the media. Government just refuse to compensate people, just refuse. Government, that's the case of the French government with us, they probably use a bit of money to convince people, oh, it's good, we develop that place economically, then we need power plants, and or in Tahiti we need experimentation, it's good for the economy, it's economy. But the suffering after that, especially for future generation, is terrible suffering. Because when you think about all the victims that still existing today in the world, where the government don't even take any notice of them. They're still living in a contaminated place. They don't have health care. The government carry on telling lies. Government carry on minimizing things, like what we have been told in Tahiti by the expert, by scientists of the Ministry of Defense. They told us that there is more radioactivity in Paris than what there is in Montreal. I mean, to me, it's an insult. It is insulting. First of all, they're taking us for idiots. We're not scientists, but they're really taking us. It's like we don't understand anything. Nuclear should not only be a debate of scientists. I've never been to university. I don't have a scientific, how do you call it, certificate or whatever. But it's just good sense. I mean, people from the island are not scientists, but they know when the ocean is suffering. They know when the ocean is sick. They know when the fish is no good. They don't need the scientific to come and tell them, oh, there's that much millisievert there, or no, it's not dangerous, and so on. They don't need scientists. They know that. They know that when they drink the coconut, it's no good because they have diarrhea. After that, they know that. And no need of scientists to come and tell us, oh, it's not too dangerous, but it's okay, and sort of thing like that. I just remember what the guy from Alaska said today. He said, people in Alaska live off food from the water, from the ocean, fish, the river, and so on. Now, the more contamination there is, how much the ocean can take, how much nature can take. We don't realize that. We just check radioactivity, check it in the water, how much it can take. But the most important thing that he said, the day the ocean died, well, his people gonna die. And what he says is very important. This day the ocean die, I think not only people of Alaska died, all the people around the planet will die. And for the moment, it's a slow death. You know, like some of the places are contaminated, or maybe radioactivity in the ocean. Some of the plankton are absorbing radioactivity. Some of the fish eat that. So it's slowly developing. So it's a slow death. But
that already.
Yeah, it's a slow death. I think we really have to wake up now and do something, because otherwise it's almost like a suicide of the human race. It's a kind of suicide, a slow suicide, because even the accident of Fukushima, sometimes I do think it's not an accident. It will happen. And it is not accident because the government keep on saying, oh, no, it's safe. So waiting for another accident is not accident anymore. When you know something is happening and you don't do anything to stop it, it's not an accident. And that's why I explained. Of course, for us, Moru and all the rest, it's no accident. It's, as I explained, it's a deliberate act of violence, colonial aggression, and so on, violation of the right. And but Fukushima, have to think about it. It will end up the same way as all other victims in the world. I mean, this planet gonna end up becoming not a planet of man, but planet of contaminated people, of hibaksha, of victims. That's what it's gonna be one day if we carry on. When we look at all the nuclear that we have on the planet, it's already too many. It can destroy us. When some people talk about the end of the world, I think the end of the world will come with this nuclear era. Well, the message to the Fukushima people, of course, I support the suffering they have today. I sympathize with everything, but my message is Fukushima is a message to the people of Fukushima first, but to the whole world. It is a message. If we don't listen to that message, the people of Fukushima not listening to that message, it doesn't matter how much solidarity the world can bring to Fukushima. It does not matter how much money or fund can be brought to Fukushima. If Fukushima people don't understand the message of what happened on the 11th of March last year, it's worth nothing, all the help that the world can bring to Fukushima. So the message to the people of Fukushima first is that. The second message to the people of Fukushima, take the opportunity of Fukushima to think also about all the others, victims all over the world, children that are dying, that are continuing to drink contaminated water in some of the Middle East places where nuclear tests had happened. Let's think of them also. There is no health care. They cannot make conference. They don't have money to make conference. They are completely abandoned. And if I'm here today, of course, for Fukushima, but I'm also here today for the human race, not only the people of Fukushima, because the human race is beyond the people of Fukushima. And that's the message we have to really get today. And I just hope that this conference is a new starting point to change the future. We have to change it, because if we don't change it, the future gonna kill us. Not the future, but we kill ourselves. We all be dead. So we have the responsibility to change that now. Maybe we can still change. Maybe the planet is not completely contaminated. Maybe we can still change. Otherwise, if you carry on like that, too late. It will be very expensive, the price that we have to pay. It will be our life and the life of all the generation to come. So that's the message.
Okay.
Yeah.
ありがとう。